While there's a plethora of evidence that women are pressured by society's beauty standards to look a certain way, research shows that body image issues facing men are just as complex. Celebrities like Sam Smith and Robert Pattinson have opened up about their own struggles, providing evidence that body image is a problem for men too, even famous and successful ones. And similar to women, research shows men are often caught feeling either too thin or too heavy to meet the male ideal. Masculinity is often equated to the unrealistic, broad and muscular or bulked up appearance. It starts as early as when we are toddlers, when we're handed action figures, and from the Power Rangers to the Avengers, we unknowingly fall prey to the superhero effect. Today we have invited Sarin Murlidar to discuss his story and how he has grappled with these standards. Sarin graduated from Vanderbilt University in 2018 and is currently an equity research associate at JP Morgan. His story is one that shows us a side of eating not often talked about and how people often misconceive a curse as a blessing. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. So I'm 24. I graduated college 3 years ago. In terms of my relationship with food, this journey, I think I was always a very skinny kid growing up, and it was something I always got comments on. Just to give context, I was 5'11" and 112 pounds at my lightest. And so I started this journey where I was kind of basically force feeding myself food. So, everyone looks at me now and they just see a normal person. I look at myself and I think, okay, I look just like a normal human, but they don't. Only the people who knew me from before see this kind of more dramatic change.
And they don't know that a normal person physically might still be going through a lot, mentally. Yeah. So Sarin, what is your relationship with food like, and how has it affected the way you live?
Ever since it was something where I needed to eat more to keep on a normal, aesthetic looking weight. It's become a chore, something I think about constantly, something I feel like I always have to do. And, I'm always thinking about what's my next meal going to be.
So, you just mentioned it being a chore. Why do you say that?
Well, because I don't necessarily have much of an appetite, right? I don't feel the desire to eat. And even though I'm not hungry, I know I need to eat, because if not, I'm thinking, I'm becoming,
you're
catabolic.
Gonna lose weight.
It's kind of everyone puts in work at the gym. You put in work at the gym, and if you don't eat after, it's I wasted all that time. So not only am I losing weight, everything I did that previous day or week, I feel like it was a waste. Because
just how you mentioned that, sometimes you have to compare yourself to the people that you're hanging out with, that you don't eat as much and stuff. Do you think that on your personal relationships have been impacted by this issue?
It's as serious. It can be annoying to friends. They're like, oh, Sarin has to eat again. And I have to stop. So it can definitely be annoying to them, and they kind of know I carry around a jar of peanut butter with me places sometimes because of that reason.
Oh my God.
So it's something I'm constantly worried and stressed about. I have a Cliff Bar I brought because I wasn't sure what my next meal is going to be. A lot of times you look at people who have this level of anxiety that's paired to their eating disorder. I can definitely see it getting there.
Do you think the source of your dissatisfaction came from something else? Did anything else serve as a factor to this?
Yeah, I was getting comments my whole life, right? Maybe the catalyst for me, this was maybe a more private moment in my life, is after my first breakup, right? My ex-girlfriend at the time made comments about how she didn't find me as attractive because I was very, very skinny. And so that was something that, probably the first time, that was something that kind of deeply impacted me and affected me.
So what would your advice be to somebody else who's going through a similar issue?
I think to realize it is not unhealthy to want to make a change in your body and physique, right? It's more about
the way you do it, the approach,
and doing it for the right reasons, right? So and doing it in a healthy way, so you can't compare yourself to people on social media.
And also images are photoshopped,
of course.
So comparing ourselves to this thing that we see online, which may or may not be real, is probably not the best way to go. So this one question we got from one of the people on the team who wanted to ask you, considering the amount of food that you have to eat, how are your finances affected, especially considering that at one point you were a college student with no discernible source of income? So how did all that take place?
Yeah, it was really hard for me to embark on this journey in college because I didn't have income, right? And there's only so much chicken breasts and oats and peanut butter one can eat before you get really, really tired of those things. Definitely I spend a lot more on food than my friends do. And I'm lucky and fortunate enough to be in a position where that's not too much of a hurdle, but I know for a lot of people that's not the case.
So your end goal is to eat calories. So do you try to go to less fancy places so that you can eat more food?
Yeah, I know if I go to like a tapas bar or like a nice sushi restaurant here in the city, I'm gonna have to eat something later. And usually that thing I eat later is gonna be just like a utility food, like shove rice in my mouth or oats or something. Where it's like, I'll try to enjoy them.
The fact that you said shove rice in my mouth is so funny.
Right, you have to eat fast before your stretch receptors tell your brain your body's full.
I think that both of us have had some sort of eating disorder, but they're on different sides of the spectrum. I'm sure there are so many more that need to be researched, because everyone has something or the other in their food journeys, and everyone's dealing with something even if they aren't speaking about it. And I think the more we vocalize and are able to have these conversations as if they're not something to be embarrassed about, I think that's a good way to go about as a community. So as we move towards the end of our talk, Sarin, do you have anything to say to the audience?
So I think it's just really important that we remind ourselves that every one of our bodies has different needs. It doesn't take weeks, it doesn't take months. You're not going to start to notice changes for at least 6 months. No matter what you're trying to do, it takes months, and it's kind of a lifestyle change.
We often find ourselves wishing for a body with high metabolism, hoping that we can eat whatever we wish without gaining weight. However, as Sarin has shared with us today, there exists a dark, exhausting and stressful side to that too. We have to be extremely careful about what we wish for and take some time to understand our body's needs. It can be a long and taxing process, but it is important nonetheless, and we have to be sensitive about this. So it is important to listen to your body and ensure that you are doing the best you can for it. Okay, great. Now let's get dinner.